Hi, in this video we're going to be looking at negative numbers. Here we go. Right, so when I'm looking at negative number questions, I'm going to think of two things. I'm going to think of positive one and I'm going to think of negative one. And when I think of a positive one, I'm going to colour a blue circle in. When I think of a negative one, I'm going to think of an empty circle. Okay, so let's have a look at a typical question. So I've got 5 added to 3. So because this is a positive value, I'm going to think of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got 5 positive numbers and I've also got 3 positive numbers. 1, 2, 3. So when it's an add question, I'm going to try and combine these two together. So that'll be simple. I've got 5 positive numbers and I've got 3 positive numbers, which will give me a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll end up with 8 positive numbers if I group them together, collected them. That's what adding means, group them together. Next question. Okay, well I've got a -2 plus a 3. So this time I'm going to draw out 2 for -1 and -2, and I've got a +1 and a +2 and a +3. I'm going to try and group these together. Now the good thing about negative numbers is a negative number and a positive number actually cancel each other out. So that will make 0. So this one will cancel out with this one, that will also make 0, and then all I need to figure out is what I'm left with. Well, I'm only really left with a +1. So my answer will be +1. Okay, next question. So this time I've got -7, so I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 negative values, and I've got +2 values. And same as last question, if I've got a negative and a positive, they will cancel out to make a 0, cancel out to make a 0. So what am I left with? I'm actually left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negative zeros, or negative ones, so therefore -5 is my answer. Next question. I've got -2 this time, so -1, -2, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 positive numbers. So if I group them together, that will cancel, so I'm left with just +3 as my answer. Okay. What about this one then? So -9, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 negatives, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 positives, so cancel, 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 cancel. Remember, a negative and a positive can only cancel each other out, therefore I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negative values. Okay. Right, your turn to have a go. Pause the video here. I'm going to put the answers on the board in a short while. These are the easy ones, then they get a little bit trickier, then they get a little bit trickier again, and then these are supposed to be the tougher ones. So give them a go, pause the video here, good luck. Okay, here come the answers. Give them a tick, give them a cross, hopefully you've got them all right. Let's try some trickier ones. Right, so this time I'm still grouping them together, so I'm going to add 4 positive numbers, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to add it to a -1. So again, when I'm grouping them together, I can get them together and cancel, so that won't cancel with that. Therefore, what am I left with? I'm left with 3 positive numbers, so my answer is +3. Next one. So this time I got 7, so 7 positives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm going to group that together with 1, 2, 3 negatives. Again, when we're grouping them together, I can cancel, cancel, and cancel. So therefore, I am left with just 4 coloured in circles, which is 4 positive values. And there's my answer. So in this question, we've got 5 positive numbers. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to group that together with 7 negative numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, when I'm grouping them, they cancel each other, so cancel, 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 cancel. Nothing else left to cancel, so I'm left with 2 negatives, so therefore -2 is my answer. Okay, so similar process. I've got 3 positive numbers, so 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to group it together with 8 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Cancel, cancel, cancel. I am left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 negatives is -5. Next question. Right, so I've got -2, so 1, 2, 2 negatives. I'm going to group that together with 1, 2, 3, 4 negatives. So if I'm trying to group them together, none of these will cancel with each other, so therefore I'm going to just figure out how much I'm left with. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I end up with 6 negatives, so -6 is my answer. I can't cancel any of those values out. So -7 grouped with a -2, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Grouped with 1, 2. Again, none of these will cancel each other out. Only a positive and a negative will cancel each other out. So what am I left with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm left with 9 negatives. Next question. In fact, it's your turn to have a go. Pause the video here. Try and draw these out. It makes it a lot easier to see what's going on. I'm going to put the answers on the board in a short while. Good luck. Okay, here come the answers. Give them a tick, give them a cross. Hopefully you've got them all correct. Let's try a different style. Okay, so going back to some easy ones here now. I've got 5 positives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But this time I'm going to take some away. So I want to get rid of 3 positives. So I'm not going to draw these time because this is a negative. I'm going to take them away. I don't want to draw these. I'm going to get rid of them. So I'm going to need to get rid of 3 of these. So get rid of 1, get rid of 2, get rid of 3 positives. Okay, so what am I left with? I'm left with 2 positives. Next question. So I start off with 6 positives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, because it's a takeaway question, I'm going to eliminate a 1 positive 1. So eliminate 1 positive 1. What am I left with? That would be 5 positives. Now I'm sure you could have done those in your head, but it's the concept what we're trying to figure out here. Next question. 4 take away 7. So I start off with 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this time I've got to get rid of 7. Now there's not even 7 there, so I can't get rid of 7. So this is what we're going to have to do. Now to get rid of 7, I'm going to have to import some numbers. So I can unimport zeros. So I'm going to add a 1 and a -1, which is technically a 0. I'm going to import a 1 and a -1, which is technically a 0. I'm going to import 1 and a -1, which is another 0. So technically I've added on 0, 0, and 0. So I've not really done anything to the question other than make it look a bit more crazier. But now I can take away 7 ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what am I left with? I'm left with 3 empty circles, which is the same as -3. Next question. So I start off with 2 positives, 1, 2, but apparently I need to take rid of 6 of the positives. So I haven't even got 6 positives there, so I'm going to start off by adding 1 and a -1, 0. 1 and a -1, 0. 1 and a -1, 1 and a -1. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ones there. I can now get rid of those. So I get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. What am I left with? I end up with 4 empty circles, which is the same as -4. Next question. So this time I've got -1 and -2 I'm going to start with, and I'm going to get rid of 4 positive numbers. Now as you can see, there are no positive numbers there, so I'm going to have to add these in. So add 1, that's a 0. Add 1, -1, that's another 0. Add 1, -1, that's a 0, add 1, and a -1, that's a 0. So technically now I can get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, and what am I left with? I am left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, -6 as my answer. Next question. So start off with -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I want to get rid of a single positive. So I'm going to add on a single positive, but I can't just add that on, I have to add on a single negative as well, because those two make 0 anyway, so it doesn't change the question. But now I can get rid of the +1, and that will leave me with -5 as my answer, because I've got 5 negatives left on the board. Next question. So I start off with 1, 2, 3 negatives, and I'm going to take away 7. So as you can see, there's not enough there to take away. In fact, there's no positives to take away. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So all I need to do now is get rid of those values. So I can get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ones. I can now get rid of 7 ones, but what am I left with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 empties, which is -10. Right, your turn to have a go, draw these out. If there's not enough there to take away, you've got to add a positive and a negative before you can take anything away. Pause the video here, have a go, good luck. Okay, here come the answers. Give them a tick, give them a cross. Hopefully you got them all correct. Remember, it is a little bit tough, that part, because if there's not enough to take away, you've got to add some before you can do that. Okay, what about this one then? So I'm going to start off with 5 positives this time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I need to take away 2 negatives. Well, there are no negatives here, but I've got to take 2 negatives away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a positive and a negative, because that's 0. I'm going to add a positive and a negative, and that's 0. So it hasn't actually changed my question, but at least now I can take away 1 negative, 2 negatives, so therefore my answer is whatever I've got left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 positives is +7. Next question. So I start off with 3 positives. 1, 2, 3, and I've got to take away 7 negatives. There are no negatives there, so I'm going to add a positive and a negative, 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 positive and a negative. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, positive and a negative. I've basically added 7 zeros to this question. So at least now I can get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 negatives. What am I left with? Well, I should be left with 10 positives, so therefore my answer is +10. So this time I start off with 3 negatives, 1, 2, 3, and I've got to eliminate 4 of them. Well, I suppose I could eliminate 3 of them, but I still haven't got 4, so I need to add on 1 positive and 1 negative. So at least now I can get rid of 1 negative, 2 negatives, 3 negatives, and 4 negatives. What am I left with? I'm left with 1 positive. So +1 is the answer. So this time I start off with -1, and I've got to get rid of 5 of the negatives. As you can see, there's not enough negatives there to get rid of, so I'm going to have to implement some more in there. So I've got 1 positive, 1 negative, 1 positive, 1 negative, 1 positive, 1 negative, 1 positive, 1 negative, 1 positive, 1 negative. Remember, all of these are basically 0 anyway, so a +1 and a -1 make 0, so I'm not actually changing the question, but at least now I can get rid of 5 negatives. Get rid of that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I've actually added on a few too many here, but if you notice, a positive and a negative make 0 anyway, so they cancel each other out. So don't worry if you do add on too many, because eventually you'll notice that they cancel each other out anyway. So I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4 positives, so my answer is +4. Right, pause the video here, have a go at these. Remember, draw them out, see if you can cancel anything out. If you've not got enough to take away, can you add a positive and a negative so that you can take away the value? Good luck. Okay, here come the answers. Give them a tick, give them a cross. Hopefully you're getting them all right. Now, if you are getting good at this, I'm going to put a page of mixture questions on here now. So this is a bit of a mixture of every single topic that we've done so far. Pause the video here, have a go at these. If you can do these, you are brilliant. Good luck. Okay, here come the answers. fingers crossed you've got them all right. And that's pretty much it. If you can figure out how to add two values together or take away some values from each other, then that's pretty much all you need to know about negative numbers. So hopefully you've learned something. Thanks for watching.